Welcome back here. Game number 2 between Infinity and Infamous going to be starting soon. Game 1 going very, very confidently the way of Infamous. Will Infinity be able to make it back? And more importantly, how? Bowie, I ask you this question first.
I mean, I already answered. I think stray away from the Underlord. If you have last pick, make sure you can actually get a good win condition. I think they kind of drafted themselves into a corner with the way they did. I think it was pretty smart to get the NP versus Quap matchup in the 15th pick. And it did work, right? We saw Alone pretty much struggling the whole game. But if you can't really address the actual late game of the Terrorblade, or at least play more aggressive towards him, gank him, which they actually didn't do the whole game. The only death the Terrorblade had was somewhere else. Then the game gets really hard. So I think slight draft adjustments, and we can definitely see a game 3, because I feel like Infinity played really well with the resources they had, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. I think just a bit of lack of understanding what needs to be done on the last pick, where like we already addressed the issue. The Terrorblade's not going to be touched, and he wasn't. So they need to have I want to see what they have prepared for this one. This time around, again, they will also have the last pick. So let's see how they make the use of it.
Yeah, I was going to mention something in the last game that. Since Axel and Papita played in the same team, right, and we're talking about drafts now, it's important to note, for people that don't know, that when Axel came into Infamous, they actually swapped Papita as a drafter for Axel. So even by his own admission, Axel is a better drafter than he is. And now Papita's the one drafting for Infinity. So that's going to be an interesting thing. I wonder if this is a bit of a battle like that, where Papita's trying to regain his pride, or trying to get back into the groove that Axel stole from him at one point.
Yeah, I maybe he's an Underlord connoisseur or an Underlord, aficionado or something. But I hope they don't go for that again, because that's probably his call, right? If he's the drafter and he's also the offlaner.
Oh, that's 100% his call. You know, they always save his offlane for last, because the thing that they always say with Papita is he's a great player after minute 15, and the laning stage is probably one of the worst offlaners out there, and that's why they usually play these teamfight offlaners, because he honestly does struggle on laning stage no matter what.
Yeah,
and they start with the same thing though, so maybe they just correct the last pick.
I don't like that. They just immediately, okay. Maybe these are the comfort picks for them, but I feel, you need to address this dead profit issue that seems to be one of the strongest heroes across all other regions. Just being able to deal more damage to the towers, and having that flexibility where that profit doesn't lose the matchup. A lot of the time you don't want to pick a melee hero into her, because you're giving that profit a free lane, and then you have another scaling core that just brings out too much to the team fight, unlocks the Roshan, the tower taking potential, which makes your 1 and 2 very you can go greedier in terms of what you want to do with the heroes. You don't necessarily need to lock onto, okay, we can't gank, we can't take Roche, because that profit checks a lot of those boxes and just makes Dota very easy to play.
Yeah, I'm fine with the opener of Infinity if they are willing to actually flex this Monkey King. The problem is that Monkey King carry actually, or offlane, you need so many bans to make sure that the Monkey King has a good time. Terrorblade, for instance, is not a hero you really want to play Monkey King into. And it gets hard to flex this, and it's usually very straightforward to counter drafts where you just show the 2 supports like this.
Do you think they should ban the TB? It's also Lumiere's best hero, so I mean, it seems like a...
At this point, I wouldn't mind, honestly. I think it's a really good ban. They can, pick it for themselves, but I don't see Infinity as a team that can go TB 15th. So we'll see if they don't actually ban it, if Infamous is willing to get it in the 16, 17.
I mean, yeah, just by checking the drafts and seeing how many different heroes Lumiere played. He played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In 8 games, he played as a different hero. So it's very, very hard for them to, just ban out his hero pool.
They're really thinking about this last ban right now. Maybe they're questioning the same thing. Maybe they're having the same exact debate we're having right now, and someone's playing the Lacoste cards. Do we even ban Lumiere? How do you ban this guy? It's impossible.
maybe if you already know that you're gonna be like playing Monkey King as a core, but if you like have a certain ban, I don't know, let's say Ursa, then they would probably know that this monkey is gonna be played as a core. Okay, this is just an old school combo, and this also reveals that this monkey is gonna be core, judging by the Batrider ban and also by picking Marana, which is okay, but then again, they still have like a lot of single target abilities. That they need some team fight. Like they need to match this Dead Prophet plus whatever Infamous decides to bring, because there's a lot of synergy between just Weaver and the Dead Prophet, the minus armor plus the ghosts on top of it. It's just a very easy way to play Dota. On the other side, like if you don't use your Nightmare correctly, if you miss an arrow on Infinity, your heroes just fall off so easily.
Yeah,
well,
like,
you were talking about the Monkey King core. Do you think it's mid now? Because these bans kind of cover that.
I don't know. I think this Death Prophet really refrains the Monkey King from playing mid. Overall, Death Prophet actually does really well against melee heroes. One thing that I was gonna point out is that you usually see like burst damage as a way to counter Death Prophet if you cannot play Shadow Demon against her. And I don't think they really have enough lockdown for the Zero or the damage so far. So they have a lot to work into these last two picks so that their draft actually stands a chance. So I do like this
what do they need to have?
Having the save for the arrow.
What do the last picks have then? What do you want them to have? Like you talked about burst damage. What other things they need to cover?
Yeah, first of all, I think you need a good pair in the offlane for this Marana. You know, the Monkey King is not the best one. I think the stun duration, the balance strike early doesn't really set up the arrow that nicely. But they did ban Mars. It's not looking great, honestly. I'm not a fan of the opening up with the Bane Monkey King twice in a row. And this Lina, probably mid, right?
Yeah, most likely mid.
Guaranteed
Dead
mid.
Prophet Tusk, a very strong offlane duo. Like the survivability, she gets the siphon off into the snowball. Suddenly the turnaround potential is there. The extra slow that you get from Tusk is enough for Spirit Siphon to be connecting with the people, even the shards. And this monkey, he can play the mid lane, whether that's going to be Lina or Dead Prophet. Most likely going to be Lina on the mid lane, so they need something. Invoker's already banned out, so is Queen of Pain, even Viper. So I think, once again, Infinity already in a really tough spot because they decided to go with the same opener. This Tusk causes a lot of issues against Bane, against Arrow. This is their like go-to thing, and one snowball can just change that, and then you're in a lot of trouble just trying to like force a fight. They need the... Let me just scroll through the mid laners real quick to see if they can like pick anything that is good.
I mean, they ban Bat and Quap, right? So those two heroes usually are pretty safe playing against Tusk roaming. In this case, I don't know. They have to play mid Marana so they can deal with the shards. And they go Tiny.
Interesting choice. I had a lot of physical damage on the Infamous side. I wonder if they just think, oh, is this Tiny carry or Tiny mid? I'm not sure where he fits.
I've seen Tiny off lane.
True.
I do feel like the best position by far is carry, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
There was a couple of games yesterday on mid Tiny. He does well, but not as good as the safe lane Tiny. And Infinity, I think they're just like overthinking this too much. I've cover pretty much all other regions. I watch everything, and the way they're drafting, this is just not good. Like I'm being completely honest. This is they're experimenting too much. Maybe that's their own thing, the region thing, where like Tiny on the offlane's popular or Monkey on the off. It's just not good. Like there's way better heroes to draft, and you're pretty much playing with a handicap.
Yeah. Do you think that maybe they had like a pocket strat to come into this play or this game, like with Monkey King Bane, and now they're trying to deviate because they realize how weak that is, and they don't deviate properly, and now they're just, like you said, experimenting?
Yeah, it could be a thing. I mean, they lost game one. Maybe they're a little stubborn. They were playing scrims. It was working, so they want to like try it one more time with a little bit of a twist. But I'm really worried. Like they have no heroes that can take Roche that easily. If they get ran over into the laning stage, they're just gonna be done. This is one of those drafts where I also don't see them having last pick is gonna be like, okay, this is it. You know, this one hero, it will give them the burst damage against the Dead Prophet. You know, it will counter Lina, and just they have a lot of things to fix with the last pick, and it might be Underlord. I don't know.
The ultimate, just to throw the draft down the drain, pick Underlord last pick.
There
TB once again. Fair enough.
Oh my god, I hope they don't go Underlord. I don't fully agree with what Lacoste said. I think with this Tiny, they are actually in a much better position to scale than they were in game 1. But I think the problem is, in that game 1, they actually lost lanes they are supposed to win. In this game, they actually have kind of terrible lanes. So if they can survive or do okay in their laning stage, I do feel like there is more potential for this game to go late and them to stand a chance. Timbersaw, that was really quick. I think this is a much better pick than the Underlord. I think this is fine.
It's good. It's a good Timbersaw game. What I want to see itemization from Infamous. This is something Balrogs did yesterday on the offlane Dead Prophet when they needed a Spirit Vessel. Dead Prophet offlane bought it, and I think like you can't allow your supports to buy it because it's too slow, especially against the Timber. So you want to have something to counter him, and I think Dead Prophet should go for that item in this case because it just feels really good. And other than that, looks like a good Timbersaw game. But once again, we're talking about this Terrorblade. He is the strongest hero in the game. Once again, once he hits the Scotty timing, he ruins both Timbersaw, Monkey King, and Tiny. Tiny late game just cannot win against the Terrorblade. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, and also this lane, right? The Monkey King versus Lina is super rough. So PP, especially when you add the Tusk rotating on top of it. I guess there is potential for Michael to rotate. You can get the balance striking to arrow, but overall, it feels like PP needs to like outplay alone quite a bit to stand a chance.
Okay, once again, the panel is not confident in the Infinity draft. With a strong drafting once again from Infamous, will they be able to take game 2 against Infinity, or will Infinity pull off a miracle and get to game number 3? We're going to have to see as we get right into the game with our casters, Epulze and SeekNStrike Dota. Thank you. I have to agree with the panel there, honestly. I mean, I actually thought Lacoste was kind of on the money with a lot of the things they said about like the way they was drafting. It was just odd. I didn't think there was like a clear structure or plan to it. And sometimes you see this when you see like a pick and you go, I would have probably picked this. Like if I was planning this draft, I would have probably picked this at a different spot, you know? And when you see that in the draft, you know, like I wouldn't have picked him like 8th pick. I would have done like 15th or whatever, right? And then you go and say, yeah, maybe you didn't have this plan from the start, and that's never a good sign for a draft.
Yeah, and once again, you know, Infamous just falling back on their idea of, well, we've got a very consistent hard carry player, let's just give him another good late game matchup, and Infinity kind of allow that to happen yet again, you know, so it's Infinity putting themselves kind of, even best case scenario for them, right, reading this draft from their POV, they're wanting to play this one fast, again, right, did that work out for them well in game 1? Kind of. Didn't go awfully, right? Now they at least have, like, more late-game solutions compared to just avoiding the fight. And speaking of avoiding the fight, that's not happening here. 5v5 at level 1. Affliction's going to hit 4 enemy heroes with the level 1 Sakuchi. Most damage Weaver has ever done in a team fight. And is going to be forced to back away. But yeah, I think Infamous here, once again, setting themselves up here beautifully. Even the Tusk early on, this Slathen Tusk is going to do massive amounts of work versus a lot of the single targets that Infinity are going to be carrying. I think this is going to be a Blink Dagger rush, not so much for the Blink punch onto someone like a Bane, but more so to just Blink and then Snowball save enemies from, or your allies from a lot of the enemy zoning abilities. So that's looking all really, really good. Lots of tips onto Affliction.
I think is that because of the 2 Shikuchis he did, or I'm not...
I think so. They go, wow, you did 800 damage on Weaver.
Is it because he got lost in the woods as well? Because the Affliction just went like, where are you, Affliction? That's not your house.
The runes don't spawn there anymore. Where are you going?
Yeah, that's the tier 2. That the runes never spawn there, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I don't know. I'm worried about Infinity, especially because of their lanes. I think Bowie made a really good point there. Oh wow, they even missed. I'm sorry, one Infinity, not Affliction. Because especially the mid lane, what does Monkey King do in this matchup? This seems like a really bad matchup for Monkey King.
Yeah. Monkey, you know, one of these heroes that relies on, if not winning the lane, at least having like a melee matchup, so there's some outplay potential for him there. Not really the kind of hero that can too easily deviate into the Primal Spring, I'm going to farm camps kind of build. Lina does that a lot better. There's other mid laners that also do that a lot better. I suppose there's a bit of outplay potential here with Mischief, but sadly, of course, Alone can get 2 Dragon Slaves out in the time that Mischief is back off cooldown, so never really going to be a winning time here for PP here in the mid lane, sadly, even if he does dodge everything that he can. I don't know what he does either. I guess maybe he tries to go Primal Spring, but yeah, it's going to be rough for him, and he's just going to take all this right-click damage in between. Top lane is going to be a bit rough as well. Oscar and Slavin versus the melee Tiny. Oscar able to just sustain off the Siphon eventually, and Tusk buys a regen. He'll be fine.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be that big a deal. I do feel like the lanes are so. I just feel like the lanes are so favorable for them. It's you kind of have to play with your eyes closed to lose these. Maybe the bottom is the one that you can say, all right, Infamous could lose, right? Especially once Mariano hits his level 6. And Mariano's Timbersaw is a treat, honestly. He's really fun to watch his Timbersaw. Because no matter what, he's not going to go... Like, I think Mariano, he spits on Tortellini. You know, his builds are so weird every single time. He was the guy that went for BKB first on Timbersaw in the game a while back. It was a really good pickup, by the way. But he does this all the time, and he reminds me a lot of when... Remember when No-Tail won that major a while back when he was playing carry? He played carry Timbersaw and he built an E-Blade as an item, and it was like a 3rd item E-Blade. It was like all the casters were baffled, but ended up being pretty much the game-winning item. I think that's how Mariano thinks about the game, so it's really fun to watch his Timbersaw and his itemization, because it's honestly very creative and adapts really well to the game. But this is a game where I don't know if you can itemize to adapt, or you're just going to lose anyway because of the draft.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. PP, that being said, is holding his own in these early levels. This is going to get worse and worse, of course, this matchup with time, because Lina just gets more damage, and you don't have any advantage over that naturally. That being said, I'm curious what his skill build is going to be, because he's saving 3 skill points right now. You know, not really going to be too useful to put them in the Boundless Strike or anything, but I guess he's just kind of considering how this matchup is going to go. Maybe he's thinking if Alone makes a misstep, I can be a little bit aggressive, take points in Jingu and surprise him. Otherwise, no point in taking Jingu in this lane. But I suspect they'll probably go into Primal Spring here just to make sure he can, at least, pardon me, have some farming mechanism when he is inevitably booted from the lane. It's bottom with the last 4-lane death. Mariano picks up the kill onto Affliction. Axel Affliction.
Yeah. I don't know why he changed his name to Affliction, but, you know. You see the video? Did you ever see the video he did with the Beast Coast guys where it was, like, Affliction versus Stinger?
No.
No? Oh, it was really cool. They like put them all with like essentially it was like the beginning video to a rap battle, like the intro to a rap battle, and they both look so badass. And when name Affliction, it's much better than Axel. It's just like the guy's like walking around, you know, he's doing all these the hand signs, which they always do with your top right. You have to like really gesticulate with your hands. It's a really cool video from the Beast Coast channel. If you won't watch it. And with the name Affliction, it's better.
They are. Oh, Brain Sap with the last auto attack from the DP, not enough, but that... Oh, still the second one is not going to be enough, but it will force him back and out of the lane. Slalin is chasing, but doesn't have the shards for another 10 seconds, so he's not going to be able to snipe that kill, but it does force Bane out for a while. Rise is all alone then. Next wave.
As we continue to look at the lanes, PP not doing that badly. Obviously, a lot of these last hits are from the small camp, but hey, frankly, this is much better than we expected with the Lina. Lina can't really dominate mid lane. I guess it's also an effect of how mid lanes are not really easy to destroy right now. That's why a lot of heroes that destroy the mid lane are not very popular. Like Rift Viper. So
it's just, I mean, it's not troubling to see, but again, he is still holding on to 4 skill points. You know, if he was given any other mid laner, imagine what he could be doing with this experience. No, seriously, right? Like, imagine what he could be doing.
I've actually never seen this.
I mean, he just doesn't know what to build. What do you do? I mean, Boundless Strike, I guess.
You're not getting what you came for.
It's what do you do? There he goes. 3 points into Tree Dance. Easy to Primal Spring the crap out of this camp. There you go, boys. How about that for a Primal Spring? And my Boundless Strike.
This is really good. I'm in love with this build. This is so cool. I've never seen a player do this. Saving that many skill points. I've seen like saving 1, maybe 2, right? Especially in the mid lane matchups. Saving 4 full skill points there, actually. Wow.
Yeah, I was wondering how far he was going to go on it, and I thought for sure, you know, he's going to save it for a while, and then he decided, you know what, I'll farm this camp now, and took the skill points for it. Why not? Again, He's got the point in Jingu, so he has taken it just in case, I guess. But I don't know if we'll ever see that number above Lina reach 3 in this laning stage. At least not without a significant gank.
I don't think it's going to reach 1, honestly. You're right. Either it ganks and it reaches 4, or there's just never hitting Lina here. That's why he's like, you know what? Over Corrosion, very common on Monkey Kings. Probably not this game. But the Battle Strike or the Primal Spring build is the best build for farming. It deals a ridiculous amount of damage, and it's really easy to cut lanes with it. So it actually is the best build for the situation. Maybe PP was waiting and see if Lina made any mistakes. He didn't, and so he's like, let's just play the safe build.
That's what I had hypothesized as well, and I think that seems to be the case. He's now just going to be happy to accept, well, a little bit of bonus damage. He jumps right into the LSA, into the Laguna Blade, and, well, there's the #1 above Lina. Can he get a second? No, because he's being routed away. Thinking about turning, as actually rotating from the top lane is Bane. They're going to set up the Wukong's command at level 6. He's taking the skill point, doesn't avoid the damage on the Dragon Slay, but luckily he's going to stay alive thanks to the infused raindrops, and they actually get a double kill. Alrighty, not bad whatsoever. A clutch rotation from the Bane. Tiny's not going to be punished for this because he simply has too much HP to really give a darn about this DP in Tusk. And Mariano as well, of course, on the Timber side, one of the most independent laners probably in the game. Excuse me, finally has hit level 6 and is going to be looking to try and give the boot here to the TB. Okay, so things are going pretty decent for Infinity. I mean, 3-0, you know, doesn't really, again, kind of tell the full scope of it, but I think I would have had definitely agreed with you in the early game if you had suspected that Infamous had the stronger lanes. Doesn't seem to be playing out so far. That being said, Alone is still incredibly farmed on the Lina, so it's not like this lane advantage has gone completely awry. And Infamous are already searching in the jungle. They've got a ward down, which is currently being dewarded, so maybe they just get a Bane out of this. Shouldn't be much more.
Yeah, but a Bane is fine, right? He's the one blocking ganks to a degree in the early. He has to protect the rest of Infinity cores from farming, so it's pretty solid. And this is a combo that I'm glad we see again. The Weaver Tusk. It used to be a popular offlane combo with Weaver offlane back when that was a thing. And as a support, you know, the tag team plus the Gemini attack is still very strong. And they go for Rise next. This guy still no armor, still level 5. There's a From Exorcism is already up. Tag team, not enough mana, not needed.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Bane at least breaking the smoke gank. Tiny, I think, was in the jungle to either stack or look to farm something. Can't find anything. Walks back top lane, dies. So pretty disastrous last minute there for Tiny. Doesn't really, in fact, do anything. Just walks around with a big tree and then dies with it. Now his tower is being sieged. He's going to be mighty upset to see that. There's a smoke middle, it would seem. And a TP here from the Tiny. Michael is still going to head top lane. And so is PP, who has another Wukong's command to throw down. They burn through the Exo duration, mostly utilizing the fortification, as Mariano's now going to TP on in. Alone's on the other side of the tree, still managed to land a nice stun there onto PP as the arrow finds the Tusk. Infinity will direct their attention there now. Mariano does tank a little bit of harassment from Infamous on the way out. That's going to be the Tier 1 tower successfully defended. Nice move there.
Not bad. At least you managed to. You're using Mariano's power spike well, and he's the only lane that won, so you're actually taking advantage of the Timber Saw pretty decently. You make sure the TP doesn't just snowball the game early, and you give him more chance for Rises to get farmed. And there's a moment where the Tiny does beat the TP. We talked about, like Oz said in the panel, that there's a moment where it's impossible for Tiny to win, and that's true, but that's quite late. And you do have a win opportunity when that can happen. So as long as we can secure the space right now, like every small win is a big win for Infinity right now, because they really want to hit their timings. Kind of similar to last game, to be honest with you, but I think this game they do have more opportunities to scale because of how bad the core-to-core matchups were last game. As they go for Oscar.
Yeah, they might go fishing for him here. Bane only level 4.
It's 2 supports though. There's no way.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they still make the Nightmare play. No. I mean, they're going to toss the arrow. That's going to trigger a TP. Perfectly timed, of course. The TB is already here. Speaking of TPs, it's a TB. Silence is going to be juked with Leap, and maybe just the courier dies here? No, no one dies, but rotation's forced, so space created.
Yeah, actually, I've never seen a play like that either, or maybe I never paid attention to it, but it's very interesting. I think that was a play to force TPs, right? Like, pretend like there are more people behind them. That's kind of clever. I was about to, like, you know, throw all the flame, but I actually thought that was pretty interesting.
No, I mean, it buys
You
time
don't have
here.
damage, hence you have to do something creative because you really can't kill anyone right now.
BP has still fully gone into this Orb of Corrosion, by the way, so he did purchase that. Not a bad item for him by any means, you know, especially because the HP is well utilized. Guess he doesn't want to build a Falcon Blade because he's going Echo Saber instead. Fair enough. But nice, a little bit of stats and some minus armor and the slope. Wish for the Monkey King, if he can ever get his paws on Alina. Monkeys have paws? No, they have hands, right?
I am not sure. I am not sure. You should ask my good friend Jane Goodall. She would know, but I don't know.
Well, the problem is she worked with apes. You ape. That's why she,
I don't know
why
the
she was your
difference.
friend?
Yes, and she actually studied me for a while. I thought that was just a different thing. Anyway, Slavin in trouble. PP is just gonna run him down, and there we go. He finally got the Jingle Mastery off. He did it, and he gets a kill off that. Not bad. And a 1k lead for Infinity. Again, in terms of the game plan this draft can allow you, that's probably the best case scenario. It's not the the greatest lead in the world, but you start to get ganks. The Timbersaw is leading the charge to a degree. Sorry, and the Tiny is capable of getting some safe farm. So Ryzen will be able to scale.
Mariano is doing a great job at just wasting Oscar's time here and now with the Tome of Knowledge. Bane with the level 6 easily picks up the kill there, utilizing the Fiend's Grip onto Oscar. Alone is thinking about going on a PP, and they will actually hit him with a Laguna Blade. Nice Nightmare save to avoid the stun, as actually the Tusk of the Toggle it still gets the kickoff eventually, but the Wukong's command set up in the meantime here as Affliction barely making it alive. A 3-man LSA though, but just no follow-up. In fact, Mariano's going deeper, wants this kill onto Alone, found the strike here, is going to set up for it. This is 3 dead, perhaps even 4, but they're not going to have the vision for Axel. They will back themselves up. Lost the mid tower in the meantime as Lumiere just casually pops meta and picks up a tier 1 in exchange for 3 heroes dying top. So not completely disastrous for Infamous, but Infinity having the early game of their lives so far.
Yeah, honestly. Similar to last game, I feel like their early game is actually pretty solid. They started the mistakes in the macro game that Bowie pointed out, but their early game rotations are really on point. I especially like what Ryze is farming. I think he's actually managed to find a pocket of space in a world of danger, and he, as a result, is capable of finding farm that is not really disturbing the rest of his team, and that allows Timbersaw to scale on Monkey King as well. Especially the Timbersaw, who was in a really tough position of having to find items and also create space right now. Affliction avoids the arrow. He does have the time lapse, so he's gonna be fine as he Shukuchi's away. And all of Infinity rotates bottom. I think this tier 2 bottom is their next objective.
They're going top. This Timber is going to be a really hard catch. They might have him dead to rights this time around with the Laguna Blade. They'll pick him off.
Okay, that was a... I have to pause every time they say my voice line, obviously, otherwise people can't hear it. But Infamous there, they have an overwhelming amount of damage for the Timbersaw, especially when he's alone. I think the DP was the pick to completely counter him, right? So even though he is tanking, he's doing okay. He only has a casual play mill, it's not enough. Mid lane, they get Affliction. As they go for the mid lane tier 1. I don't think they can push it, though. They don't really have the best push. That's one of the issues they have.
Here.
It's
true.
In general, right? Like, oh, Bane and Moran are hitting my tower. Oh, no, what will we do? If we wait for 6 more minutes, the tower will fall. Like, until Tiny gets online, nothing is going to happen in terms of objectives here.
Agreed. Tiny, as you said earlier, still in a world that is full of danger for a Pebble. One small man has found a pocket of farm, and he's doing all right for himself. He's got an Echo Saber on the way. Is going to be building. That's a Shadow Blade. That's not an Orchid.
The Ector way. Why would I build a Blink Dagger when I can just build something that gives me mobility and stats? What has Blink Dagger ever done for a carry? And honestly, in this game, because you have to just squeeze every point of efficiency you can out of the game, I think they might be the right play.
Yeah, and you've got PP to make these kind of crazy jumps in anyway, right? He's almost got Echo Saber on by himself, so he'll be a bit tankier, and that's the way you're going to start off fights, allowing you, ideally, to just kind of mosey on in, as Tiny does, and maybe snipe a kill onto, I don't know, maybe even TB early would be ideal. The DP before she can Spirit Siphon you. There's options. There's options with Shadow Blade.
I also scales to Silver Edge, obviously very basic point to be made, but that will be eventual pickup, and that's really good. They find Lumiere here. No mana either, so you have no Sunder. They cancel the Fiend's Grip. No, actually. Nope. That was a miss of a Strike Array, right?
No vision on Bane.
In fact, they catch Alone as well. Alone is going to die in the middle of his Wukong's command. Did he not Light Strike Array the Bane?
They didn't have vision on the Bane. He was invis.
But but I thought they LSA'd the area where he was.
No, they didn't. They didn't even target him. They didn't know where he was. He was hiding behind a tree, and then he was invis.
Oh, so they just so they guessed it was a blind light strike.
Yeah,
okay,
they just guessed. That's fine.
Right. My bad. My parallax error there, and that allows them to kill 2 heroes, and now a third one potentially. And Oscar arrow will hit. Slavin trying to cover his team with a snowball, but he doesn't get there in time, and Slavin dies as well.
This is disastrous for Infamous. They're dropping like flies, 3-13. I mean, kills aren't everything in Dota, but you know, this time it does tell a little bit of a story. That story right now for Infamous is perhaps one that leads to Game 3 at this rate. They need to turn this around. Not like this, though. Yeah, that's another arrow onto the Marana, and with the Chakram to follow up, that's another easy kill. They've even managed to find here Lumiere. They know which one's the real one, obviously, because it's the one with a big 1 over it. Duh. But he's going to be able to escape. That's such a dumb joke.
What?
They're going to back up, though. Don't worry about it.
Okay. All right. It's okay. If Lacoste was here, he'd understand. I don't know what humor is. Bottle, PP has double damage. You could kill Accent, but realizes, yeah. Let's not go too far.
The arrow was there to tank the creep wave. They probably would have considered it had the arrow hit. Because that would have been forced Accent Jingu for PP, and then he's going to feel very strong.
You never know where the creep wave is going to go, right? They're unpredictable creatures.
They're unpredictable.
No minds.
When do they show
like
up?
Dogs, right?
Yeah, they show up at random times, they go random places. It's impossible, this group waves.
It's like my fellow countrymen. That's exactly what we do too. Anyway, Mariano, he decided not to go for the Kayan Sanj early and decided to go for Lotus Orb instead as a deviation, which is going to be really good for the silence. As per usual, Mariano, he's like, I could go for the usual Timbersaw build, but what if? And honestly, in this game, I love that Lotus Orb. We'll deal with a Sunder to a degree. Terribly still gets some heal from the Sunder because there's a minimum threshold, which he will always reach, assuming he does from below that, but he won't get any more, and the enemy team, and that's pretty good. And on top of that, you cancel the silence from the DP, which is a really big deal, because your offlane either tanks or she initiates with silence, but there's nothing more she can do. There's no stun.
You can reflect Snowball, which is super funny. And sometimes super annoying.
Yes, exactly, because you can't throw when you want to, right? Just does the maximum duration every time, which sucks sometimes.
Reflecting Snowball can be a little bit fun. Okay, they're going to go through Roche, and of course, I think, do Exo Spirits do more damage to Roche as well? Or no, they do damage to towers.
I'm gonna ask Bowie. I'm genuinely not sure.
I know the Shaman Serpent Wards do because Serpent Wards are pierced.
Yes.
I'm not sure. I don't know what.
Dude, Bowie made a video on it. Leave it for the panel.
Yeah, we'll leave it for the panel. It's we. There you go, folks. Bowie says no.
Bowie says no. Okay, but Bowie, Dota2 Bowie, follow him on Twitter at Dota2 Bowie. Says no. It does not deal more damage.
But Bowie still has plenty of interesting things to say on panel, so definitely tune in. Is that Avo plus host guy? For Bowie, definitely.
Terrible.
Tune in.
At Dota2 Bowie, by the way. just want to point out. Anyway, Infinity, they are going to take over the triangle now to take that tier 2. They can also take over the outpost. So there's an interesting idea. You can do this sometimes where you put like a ward they're going to defend around, right, in the triangle. Even though it's been scouted, they don't really care. And they put more defensive wards around the enemy jungle. So the enemy is afraid of going to the jungle because they can always be ganked, and you play around the triangle ward to make sure you take over mid and top. And that way you put an immense amount of pressure in the map, and it feels like there's no place you can farm. That's why Bane, master of canceling TPs and being a nuisance, is actually in the enemy jungle, to make sure that if they have the galls to go there, he's going to be able to stop them.
The
actually,
galls?
Really good play.
Did you say the galls?
The gall, sorry.
That was an amazing Freudian slip there, my friend. That was amazing.
In my mind, I went for gallstones for some reason, and I don't really know why, so yeah. I apologize for that. The gall to do that, yeah. But really good play by Infinity. This is honestly a good way to play the map, and this is where Papita's expertise, I think, comes into play. I'm almost certain Mariano's making this call. Like, he is a really good in-game captain.
And speaking of playing the map, Rise is now, we did talk over the one solo kill he had there, but he can now kind of just roam the map like a shark, maybe style, because he's got Shadow Blade. And here they go. They have found themselves another kill onto the Weaver. They're even going to use the grip. They just want a numbers advantage so that they can continue pushing towers, I suppose. Those were some very long TPs. In fact, they canceled 2 of them. 6 seconds as a base TP to the outpost, +1 for every additional second. Ryza says 8 seconds of not farming? I don't think so. I'll just stick around top, thank you very much. And he might get a kill
they drew straws, right? PP drew the short straw, he had the TP to kill the Weaver. But that's exactly the play we were talking about, right? Like, they exert pressure in the jungle and in the triangle. Well done, honestly. That's some high-level play. I know to people that watch a lot of Western Europe, for example, especially in Division 1, you'll see these plays all the time. It's not that big a deal. But in SA, it's been like 2 years since they started making these plays constantly and playing the macro game as much, because usually it was just more of an individual kind of skill-based region, less about the macro game. And now
Usually
with captains like Axel and Papita and Stinger, they're starting to do this much more, and it's honestly so wonderful to watch if you're an SA fan.
Infamous, they're going to smoke out of the base as 5. They know that this hero is split all over the map right now for Infinity. They can see a couple of them were just farming top. They saw one farming bottom. It was the Tiny. Tempting kill, especially while you still have Aegis. The question is, can they find him? It looks like it's going to be a big, fat, resounding no. As look at his positioning right now for the Tiny. He's hiding behind the Tier 2 tower. I don't think a Smoke Gank's ever going to find him here, especially while that Tier 1 bottom is still up. Really heading to the triangle, though. How much patience does Rises have? Is now truly the question. Got enough of it, seems to be the answer.
Yeah. There's going to be a Moonlight Shadow now. And Rises, the king of patience, with double invisibility, means he can't be detected under any circumstances.
But it does double the dust damage, so, you know.
Is that true?
No, could you imagine? That would be the most Dota thing ever, though, right? For every source of invis you have, dust does 25 damage to you.
All of a sudden, doesn't deal like 200 damage because they just stacked invis on a hero. People are glimmer caping the enemies to deal more damage with dust.
Lina,
anyway, they found
BKB
alone. Yes, BKB.
I'll say again.
And the Fiend's Grip stopped him. That's alone dead. Okay. And by breaking this team fight, he's actually now using the Wukong's command, but the circle's not perfectly placed. Oscar just ignores him, and out of the circle they are. They kill off Michael. Mariano is trying to hold his own here, and for now he's succeeding, actually. Really tanky Timbersaw. PP staying in the circle, partially out of pride, partially out of shame. He realizes there's really nothing to do there as they kill off Oscar instead. And now, Sladin could be the target. He's the easiest one for sure. He snowballs in, though, with Lumiere and puts Lumiere in a position to attack. Now, Shazid dies immediately as Rises in trouble. He gets the TP away, and he is not going to. Walrus Punch will stop him, and he does kill the Weaver in the process, but Weaver for Rises, I'll take that any day.
Yeah, and the buyback from Oscar not really doing much other than getting another Vessel charge, so that's going to feel like a little bit of a waste for him. Infamous perhaps feeling a little bit pressured to make something happen with this Aegis. After all, it was them that had first Roche, and why not? Why shouldn't they have a little bit of this team fight for them, especially when TB does have this Eye of Scotty? So they do well to force a fight. And Avo, now, it begs the question, is this finally the Scotty timing that Infamous have been waiting for, and all of a sudden this great early game that Infinity have been playing so far comes crashing down upon them because of this 5,300 gold item that TB has accumulated?
I'm glad you mentioned the price of the item. I don't think it's enough. I don't think it's yet enough. I think you need the BKB as the turning point. I think that will be the turning point. I think right now you can still Fiend Script the TB and kill him. Like Tiny still deals a ridiculous amount of magical damage to him. Timbersaw's still a nuisance. I don't think you're there yet. In fact, Timbersaw acknowledging that he's a nuisance to the TB. It's going for the double chakram with the Axe. You're not there yet, but the team fights become certainly easier. The question as well is, what will Lina do? Because honestly, these team fights alone has been cancelled. Yeah. And they've done this both games. It's a good job by Infinity, but I don't think there's an item where Lina reaches, you're like, yeah, now he can play. He's always vulnerable to these fights.
That's true.
Maybe Lincoln's.
Oh, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. Perhaps that's the build, because I like the idea. I fancy the idea of not, you know, totally running a dual core. I think with a TB, that's generally a bad idea, but at least making this Lina enough of a threat, having enough damage on her, mixed damage ideally, where it's not just, oh no, they got a Fiend's Group onto TB, we lose the fight. Right? There needs to be something more, especially because if TB has BKB active, Snowball, I don't believe, can pull him in. It's one of those like disruption and press the attack kind of things, right? Where it doesn't pierce magic immunity both ways. So if you manage to grip TB while he's BKB, your fight is horrendously bad, as Affliction is going to be double cancelled here on his TP.
Yes.
And killed.
Yeah, good job. I mean, not the biggest deal, obviously, killing the Weaver, but it's important to get rid of the nuisance. Weaver's just going to cut lanes as much as possible, right? To make sure that you just delay the game, right? And TB can get his items. It's just that simple. The game plan for Infamous is, once again, relatively easy to understand, right? But the execution is where it comes a bit hard, right? Because you have to deal with this timing now for Infinity, which I think is the scariest part. And I want to see what Rises deviates into. He's going for BKB right now, which is good for the team fights, but when he gets that Silver Edge, I think he'll get another small power spike where he's capable of out-damaging anyone in Infamous.
Yeah. Yeah, is anyone building minus armor? Yes. Okay, so there's a Solar Crest being built by Michael. That will help. I don't know if it'll help enough. Again, last game when they tried to stack the minus armor, obviously we never really got to see that put into action. As nice stun there. Actually, he's gonna get the Monkey King out of harm's way. Found a couple there on the Boundless Strike. That'll interrupt the smoke gank nicely. Infamous preparing to fight here. Roche could be up soon as they actually make the jump onto Axel quite aggressively. There's going to be 25 damage done to PP. Dust, but he dispels that with a Lotus.
I would say, though, I think this time it's a little bit easier because there's 2 melee heroes, so Heaven's Hammer doesn't inherently counter them as easily, right? Also, Monkey King is an okay MKB picker. I mean, it's his bar after all, so he's okay with evasion on top of that. Like, it's harder. Lacoste's point about MP and TA doing the same thing was a very big one, and I think this game they've covered that. So even if there's still an overwhelming amount of armor, if you go for physical damage, because your heroes are harder to counter, it's not as difficult because you also have a lot of mixed damage in between. Especially with the Ags now on Mariano. I think that's a big deal here.
Double Chakram ready to go. He's got a red one, he's got a blue one.
Okay.
That's the biggest deal, of course.
You've heard of the noob cast for TI, now you get the 3-year-old cast.
Yeah,
where's the red one go? Where's the blue one go?
Where's the blue one go? Probably both to kill TB.
Yes.
Cancels the TP. He wants to stay because Oscar has decided to absorb the Nightmare, and now the Nightmare is truly his because Ryzes makes the jump with the Blink Dagger. Snowball's not going to save him. Walrus Punch only holds down Ryzes for a couple more seconds, but the Fiend's Grip now has found Alone, and he's going to be killed off as well. What the heck? That fight was terrible. Infamous.
Okay. We've talked about how Oscar likes to play for the team, and sometimes you have to realize you're better than your teammates, and that was a good case of it. You're right. Why would you tank the Nightmare there? I don't know. As a core, you should not do that, dude. Let the Weaver die. Who cares?
Agreed. And that's, I believe, a dieback penalty now for Oscar. Not like that. It's going to matter for the Tier 2, but it might matter for the Tier 3 or the upcoming Roche fight, which is up. Of course, Ryzes now with a Solar Crest to buff him, as well as the Aghanim Shard is going to chew through all of your buildings. He's definitely not fully online, but online enough to kill your buildings.
And I think this was what the Solar Quest is for, by the way. Not so much to minus armor the TB. Just to boost up the Tiny and push as fast as possible. I didn't see it either earlier, but now it's pretty obvious, right? And the Ryzes will take 1 lane of Rax at the very least. Walrus Punch. Okay, first Chakram used by Mariano. Here's the second one.
There's the blue one. There it is.
At the same time. There's the blue one. You know what? You were right. I need to study my blocks again. I need to go play Lego again.
Yeah, you do. You need to do more of those spatial reasoning tests as well.
Well, to be honest as well, in Dota, colors are just a fiction, right? They're all made up like casters. Like obviously these two are both brown. We know that. It's just that we call them blue and red to like differentiate them.
Yeah, to make it easier for the viewers.
Those colors don't exist, right? It's like when Rubik steals Bloodseeker spells and they're supposed to be green or whatever, and they're all brown.
So, an Avo and Seek deep cut right there for the real fans.
Yeah, exactly. Ryzes. He is near the Roche pit right now. I can jump on anyone. Did they leave a ceremonial robe there on purpose? How did that end up there?
Where is that? I don't see it actually.
There's a pit. You see that?
Oh, there is. Yeah, what's it doing here?
How did it get? Is that a bait? Is it like a Techies level strat?
I didn't mean to ping it in the.
Oh, I pinged it too, and apparently it doesn't show, so it's all good. They fixed that. Okay. But nice. Why? How? More importantly, it's not the best item, so I think it's okay. Now they discover with the
ceremonial.
Arrow. Okay.
What? That's a huge item. It's so good. I disagree.
Okay, right, but
they even nerfed it.
They disagree. Oh.
There it is.
They did it. Whose team was it, though? That's the real question.
It was a dire one. Infinity had.
Okay, so they picked up their own robe. Okay, that's good. That's good.
Why would they drop it there?
I don't know how it dropped there. I'm assuming they killed the neutral from like really far away, and then it just.
Maybe did someone have the shovel? Is that why? Is that what happened? Possibly.
Oh, that could be. But I don't see any shovel users.
No, they don't have a shovel. I don't know.
I think it's Vanless Strike to the camp nearby. Anyway, Wukong's command's ready, so is the BKB, but also it's just a Weaver. So for now, don't commit too much. Oscar, though, he presses the Exo. That's a big deal. That's a really big deal. If they just wait this out, you still have every tool. Yeah, double damage got used, whatever.
Did they hear it? Did they see it, though?
They saw the ghost for sure, because it hit them a little bit. Yeah, they're just waiting it out. They're like, yeah, we'll wait your exorcism out.
Well, it is going to at least slow the Roche, because it's going to burn a lot of the duration of this. Well, not anymore. If they're going to push Tier 2 tower, then PP is going to head into the pit with the DD rune.
Good correction.
I think that's fair, right? Maybe you get the tier 1 as well. I mean, the creeps are going to get it anyway, but you also get a second tower, perhaps even a Bane. But that is going to be the Roche going down. TPs are coming bottom, though, because they found the Nightmare onto Alone, buying them plenty of time into the arrow as well. It's going to catch Alone. The Snowball save. He needs a target, finds the creep wave eventually to Snowball 2, but the Boundless Strike into the Wukong's command is only going to set up really time for the double kill to happen, going the way of Rises. Alone, yeah, for sure, is going to be a little bit on the money with that voice line. Not too bright. To death there, and now Infinity pushing a 20k net worth lead with the Aegis on Tiny. Who brought the shard? I believe it was Mariano. Now it's the Flamethrower.
Yes.
Lots of colors. Oh, this is weird. I didn't know Flamethrower would show up between the Chakram.
What do you mean?
Well,
Oh,
you know.
okay, in the UI. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. That is interesting. That is interesting. Well, as you learn more about Dota and colors in this broadcast, welcome. Richie, before becoming a Dota caster, wanted to become an optometrist, so there you go.
I want you to know that I did so well on that optometry test. I got all the letters right.
He has 20/20 vision, which is what allows you to graduate from university of optometry.
It's true.
They're going to take the towers really easily. It's kind of difficult to defend against this because you want to poke against a Tiny, not overcommit. Because they're just going to put Tiny in front, right? And you just push the tower alone. Metamorphosis have been committed there. That's the overcommitment I was talking about as Axel dies. And Infinity is just going to retreat here. He's been dusted, 25 damage.
Another 25 damage.
Rises is capable of getting away for now. Again, he stuns the agent instead of the Wukong's command. So the base, there's a perfect Wukong's command. Great bait. And everyone falls for it. Hook, line, and sinker. At least Alina is capable of retreating in time. Axel in the same position, but alone. He's been slowed. He activates the BKB. He should be fine. His Rax, though, can't move back, and they will be dying. Or being destroyed. They don't die, because they're not alive.
GG. Now they're certainly not going to be alive, because they will call it. It's going to be Game 3. Infinity, they pull this game out. I mean, just an amazing early game from them, and a full team effort, mind you. I think PP, it is not to be understated that he did not lose that mid lane matchup, because Lina can snowball hard. She had a regular start in a matchup that by all means should have definitely been super Lina-sided. PP is in fact the first one to even get a kill in that lane. So the fact that that lane goes so well for them, the fact that Mariano's got lots of time and space, Rises has a decent lane even, I mean, an amazing performance from Infinity, for sure.
Yes, I want to highlight Mariano because, I mean, we kind of harped on him because he's the drafter, obviously, for the last game. But I think in this game, he showed why the last pick is given to him, honestly, so often. When he has last pick and he knows what to pick and he picks a hero he's more comfortable with, and it's definitely not Underlord, then it just works out for him. And both his optimization was great this game, his domination in the early game. Like, Mariano was such a clutch player this whole game because he set the tempo in the early, he knew how to itemize in the mid game to deal with TB, and he was relevant till late. Just very impressive by him. The other person I'd like to highlight, maybe PP, I think his Monkey King Wukong's command, despite one small mistake, were honestly on point, and he knew exactly what his team were doing. Always baiting, always setting up for the command, and dealing a ridiculous amount of damage every single time.
Yeah, indeed. But going to Game 3, I honestly didn't expect this. I totally believed our panel when they said that Infamous definitely have this 2-0, so I wonder what they're going to be saying now.
Yeah, I'm curious. Let's go to our panel. So take it away, Abo. Hello. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. We're back with our panel. Bowie, Lacoste, surprising. Infinity played a really good game. Can you highlight some of the things that you think they did well, Bowie?
I mean, as I said, I didn't think this game was so dire for them. Honestly, with the exception of the mid lane, I was actually kind of confident. I don't think the Tiny versus Terrible matchup is as bad as Lacoste made it look like. But the problem is they just destroyed mid. I mean, not destroyed, but considering the odds, I think PP did like really well in that lane. And Alone felt really lost, honestly. I think his build going Travels first also like made all of his timings a little bit late. Obviously, it's a common build on Lina, but it really felt like they were able to always get the combo. The Tusk wasn't really in position to save the lane a lot of the times, and they just snowballed their advantage really well. Just